The free market neglects the poor. I mean, that's just nonsense. If you want to make the most money possible, then you want to reach the most people possible. Okay, who do you think has higher revenue, Ferrari or Toyota? Okay, the greedy capitalists want to reach the most people. Okay, maybe you've heard of McDonald's. Perhaps you've heard of Walmart. Those are hardly elitist brands. No, I mean, it's the exact opposite. No, they serve the most people. They have lots of success. They expand all over the place because of the success of their business model. And the left hates them. The left hates them. They're like the epitome of the evil corporations, despite the fact that they are providing jobs. They're providing, people cheap goods. That seems pretty admirable, right? Seems pretty good. Pretty good for society. No, big corporations, powerful corporations is bad. I mean, it's nonsense. No, the free market is the reason that you can walk into a grocery store and there's like hundreds of different types of bread. Okay, the free market is the reason that televisions and cell phones and computers were prohibitively expensive originally, but then they became cheaper because there's incentive to, produce these things on a scale that everyone can buy. Right, but the left just takes that stuff for granted. They just take all this stuff for granted. The variety, the constant improvement of technology. There's incentive to come up with new business models and new services, like for healthcare, right? If there's demand for healthcare, there's incentive for the healthcare industry to come up with ways of giving people the services that they demand. Right? Now, if you want to obstruct that, you know what you do? You regulate the crap out of it. Just regulate the crap out of it. Okay. And then you'll make it harder for the healthcare industry to evolve to give people the services that they demand at the prices they need. Right? This is how it works. You'll notice this pattern, right? You want to hurt the poor? Then use the minimum wage to make it illegal to work below a certain threshold. Right? Yes. When you regulate these things, it comes at the expense of the poor. Okay, but if you want to do what's in the interest of the poor, then just let the free market play out because they're naturally going to want to, do things as cost effectively as possible, which means the cheapest products possible. That means hiring the cheapest labor possible, which means opportunities for the poor. That means that people with less education have a competitive advantage over people with more education who need higher wages, right? Just naturally, the free market is good for the poor, but, people on the left, the statists are going to always try and say, well, look at this one circumstance where the free market didn't perfectly allocate things that, to benefit the poor. Therefore, we need the government to take over absolutely everything. Yeah, the government can't do it. Obviously, the government can't do that, right? If the government was the reason that, we had any prosperity, then how did we have prosperity at the turn of the 20th century when the government wasn't regulating the crap out of everything, when the government wasn't, using the minimum wage to, force employers to pay people more? Like, how do we have prosperity back then? When people wanted to immigrate here at Ellis Island, how are we having any prosperity then? If what we need for prosperity is we need the government to legislate, oh, you have to pay poor people more. It's nonsense. It doesn't make any sense at all.